Hi everybody, this is Flash Tribesman welcoming you back to another episode of Suzerain, and we are still on, there we are, down here somewhere, chapter 2 I think we're still on. We've just convinced the hardliners to back us. Whether that'll last I don't know. We've now got the next conversation, which is with the reformist wing of the USP, see what they say. After a meeting with Gloria Tory and our further discussions with the party and my cabinet, it was time to talk to Albin Clavin to get the reformist wing to support the proposal. Probably for the heads up, I'm recording this the day after I recorded Tuesday's episode, which I recorded before Tuesday's episode went up. So basically, if you've commented on Tuesday's episode, I haven't seen it yet. Anyway, I made that a lot more confusing than I needed to do. But anyway, right. So let's see what Albin Clavin wants. I also plan to finally present a more fleshed out proposal and declare our agenda to the party after our meeting. I walked into the left wing of the assembly and entered the quarters of the USP. When I reached the meeting, I saw many of our members conversing inside. After a glimpse inside, I went back into the corridor to look for the office of Albin Clavin, which is around the back of the palace. When I reached his room, I knocked on the door and entered. Mr. President, welcome. The whole room was surrounded by books and shelves, bookshelves packed with files and papers. It was a small office with books and dossiers lying in every corner. I felt claustrophobic. On his gesture, I took a seat. Did a bomb drop in this? Yeah, how's everything? Did a bomb drop in this office? You know, he laughed. You could say that. At least he saw the funny side of it. So much research and preparation needs to be done on the plans we're working on. How is everything going for you, Mr. President? It's pretty tough. I can't imagine the work we're dealing with. I can't imagine the work you're dealing with up there. To express my gratitude for passing the Workers' Rights Act is one of the most comprehensive and successful political efforts. The workers' revolution will begin in small stuff. That's a bit too common. It's the right thing to do because our workers have been suffering for decades. Indeed, people credit your administration and the party for a positive change in their lives, hopefully. Businesses will share the burden with the state, but it is a change that they have to abide by. And they all smiled and knocked on wood. Superstitious then. Anyway, so let's talk about the proposal. Thanks for coming here for my input. There are some subjects that Glow and I don't see eye to eye. I have to say the most progressive we're already starting to warm up. Let's start again, shall we? I have to say that the most of the progressives were already starting to warm up to you. Your attempt at changing the constitution created quite a bit of excitement. One could dare to say an excitement that hasn't been felt since the 30s. A proposal was finalised together with Mrs. Tory, and surprisingly it came out pretty good. Look, Mr. President, I'm on the same side as you. I won't create any problems. Thank you, Mr. Clavin. Any help from you is much appreciated. He looked down at the proposal. It looking good. I will support the proposal and get the needed signatures from our wing. I believe the reformist votes that I have will be very important to you. Who knows, maybe you'll consider me for a job in the government in the future for this. I'll consider you if you prove yourself useful in the vote. Go to Mr. President. I will talk to my guys shortly. I'll have to fix it soon. See you in the conference, Mr. President. I went to the restaurant of the assembly to get something to eat while others conversed with other members of our party. So I've been talking to people in the distance. After all, the preparation for the conference began, and I went back into conference hall to prepare my notes for the speech I was going to make. It took time to get all the present members of the party inside the hall. Gloria announced me from the stand. I walked up to the stand as everybody in the room started clapping. Brothers and sisters of United Sordland. Yes, let's give it some love. I started my speech with the reasons for changing the constitution. If people of Sordland have spoken, they blame our institutions and our systems. They want change. Can you blame the people? Haven't we had enough with the flaws of our constitution? We must listen to their wishes and get their trust back in Sordland back. I paused as they started clapping and continued. Talk about democracy, talk about why. Let's talk about democracy. I brought attention to democracy and why we must write a new, more definite constitution. I explained how our proposals would fix the issues. The left side of the hall where Albert sat started applauding. I later explained the contents of the new constitution and asked for their full support for the proposal. Asked for their votes. I asked for each and every member's votes to make a change together. The four members on the left stood up and started clapping loud. Left at Arvin Claver made a sign. Soon after, most of the party members stood up and joined in. I saluted everybody in the room one last time and bid them farewell before leaving the stand. I walked outside the assembly and back into the palace. Does anybody think that was too easy? I was expecting a lot more than that. President meets USP of the Sordland, the current situation. I don't know. That felt like that was too easy. Oh well, okay, we'll find out soon. The balance of power in Eastern Macopia. So I was having a quick cup of tea then. Okay. Loading. Here we go. Right. 2 news articles. Let's have a quick look around what's going on. Anything up here we need to look at? Dum-de-dum, dum-de-dum-de-dum. Nope, that's the news articles I've got to say. Radical. Archaic state of Sordland's conscription laws. Dear reader, I ask you this. What year are we in? 1880s, 1920s. The matter I'm writing about is this. Of course, mandatory military service again. In times when there are no active wars, why do we still need these archaic conscription laws? Let me answer this. It's because someone profits from it. Not only does this make warmongering souls happy, blimey. If we want to modernise Sordland and catch up with the superpowers, we need to lose this militaristic identity so that we can intellectually prosper. Mandatory conscription laws need to go. That's our next battle coming then. Thanks, Radical, for the warning. Rayne to meet with Smollett and Van Houten. Sordland is embarking on a great geopolitical gamble with a new trade initiative organised by the Ministry of Foreign Affairs. The hope is the solidification of relations with our old ally Agnolia and the troublesome neighbour Welland, with the aim of regaining some regional diplomatic influence the country used to have. Each of these countries have different agenda and will create some difficulties for President Rayne. Van Houten, whose Agnolia was elected through a powerful democratic movement, wants to reimagine trade with Sordland. Smollett Cavell is looking for new foreign investments and security cooperations against rebellious, bloodish movements at the border. Lesbia and Vagsland are watching Sordland's actions very closely and are sure to react to any balance in the shift of power. Okay, that's laid out what's going to happen now then. Let's go on to this little. Do I want to read this? Black Tuesday. A shocking currency crash has struck Sordland when the money supply in the country tripled due to a successive event of panic selling after markets opened. The quarter loss, a chain reaction caused massive currency fluctuations and increase in consumer prices. Since the Central Bank of Sordland implemented emergency freeze on transactions on interest rates to incentivise spending. Troubling news. I just slightly look at that big number up there. That's very troubling. Okay, let's look at the news first. Radical. 1 step forward, 3 steps back. Yep, on the back of the stock market crash. Oh, great. And that, do we do the 2 articles? Black Tuesday, the worst day in recorded history. Our entire team is in shock as to what happened this morning. The entire market of Sordland collapsed. First opening with a quarter loss and panic selling, then a sudden rising price of costs all around the country. Most petrol investors have begun buying cheap assets to flood the market with much needed currency. Central banks announcement of a freeze on transactions and withdrawals cause more concern but will help stabilise the situation. Millions face food insecurity and prospects of getting a recession. Acquisition dimmed significantly. Bugger. The chance of Sordland became a key economic developing nation embassy has been shattered today when Black Tuesday struck and the nation has just gone back 10 years in development. These developments are a cause of major concern because nations like Rumberg are watching Sordland closely, and any weakness will be perceived as another reason to make dangerous gambles. Sordland will be significantly weaker, and regional powers will use an opportunity to subjugate the nation. The financial weaknesses also cause an opportunity to take ideological risks and draw closer to the United Continental system. Oh, great. We've got a decision coming. Before I get into these conversations, we've got these nutters up on the north who are just basically itching for a chance to come and attack us, and we've got the Ep8 allies Lesbia down to our south, and we've got the United Contana, however you pronounce it, Vagsland on the up here, and we've got these two out of battle with each other anyway. We are in a bad situation. Kezia offers aid. Okay, and religious harmony bill. I don't know about that. Propose increased religious and harmony and unity. The following laws are established in religious affairs. Section 1 of the RHB will ensure the day of dissension ceremony in Arch Sanctuary Dea shall from now on only hold sermons in Swordish language. Section 2 will forbid sanctuaries from holding sermons in Bloodish unless they receive approval of the Archpriest of Sordland. Section 3 will enforce that all priests applying to be state sanctioned have Swordish descent. I don't like that. I don't like that at all. The Assembly of Sordland, Republic of Sordland. Oh God. But it's cool. I don't know. I really, really don't know. I don't know because I really don't know what to do. Keep the old islanders happy, I suppose. I might regret doing that. I think I already do regret doing that. Medical tax. I'm not even bother reading that. Harmony bill sign. Oh, great. Proposed. I didn't. Yeah, but I think I made a mistake on that one. Yeah, I think I made a mistake on that. I really do. I should have gone like that. That'll teach me for not reading back on what we had previously. I'm sure we had a news article previously about him presenting that. But mind you, our party must have backed it to get it through. It wouldn't have got through on its own. Yeah, that's... Yeah. I'm annoyed with myself for that. I should have... Yeah, I made a mistake on that. Oh well. I'm sure it won't be... It's certainly the first one we've made. It certainly ain't going to be the last one. Right, let's have a quick look down on this. See what this is all about. Market crash. Yep, we know we're in dire straits. Train line's only finished now. Oh, okay. KZ reaches out and offers aid in return for Air Force. Oh, there we go. Foreign Minister O'Kazia has offered a substantial amount of financial, logistical and equipment support to our country. Return O'Kazia requests to refuel and repair access to the Earloy Air Force Base whenever they require. President Walker sent personal assurances. Oh no. Get +1 government budget. I don't know if it's financial aid, but is it going to make a difference to us? The economy's tanked already. I'm going to reject it for the time being. I'm not sure. I might have been a mistake. I'm more thinking that the military have already said enough times they don't want us to. They can stand on their own. So I sipped in coffee for the day when finished my first cup of coffee today when the phone lifted up and rang. I swore under my breath. I thought my schedule was clear for at least half an hour. I picked up the phone. It was, hi, Mr. President, how are you? Not so great. You must have seen what's going on. So to hear that's, it's not great on our end. Some of our investment Sordland are suffering due to Black Tuesday. I am calling you because I've received a call from CEO of Armadine Industries. I'm busy about the recent initial public offering on the Victoria City Stock Exchange. As you might have guessed, I guess it's about our little venture investment of 1,000 shares worth nearly £1 million. Instead of suffering losses due to market volatility like most public firms in Macapia, we actually came out unscathed. The case wasn't influenced by Black Tuesday crash. The shares have doubled in price at the IPO in the VSO, and we will soon receive profits made from the investment. It could have been much worse, but we got out of it at the best outcome. Isn't that great? Unbelievable. How can you say so? It's crippled. It's crippled. Yeah. Do I want me to say I'm sorry? In total we made nearly wow, $2 million. I bet that right now you're wishing you bought more stocks earlier, right? It was good for a start, for sure. It definitely was. I'm sure you. This pales in comparison to what we will do together in the future. The money will be transferred to your personal account shortly. Keep updated on all opportunities. We'll let you know immediately when new opportunities arise. Good for now. The line dropped. Happy days. Armadine stocks jumped to nearly double. Yay. We know about that. More people want to speak to us. Let's have a quick scoot around the map. Make sure there's nothing else we need to look at first. Right. You're going to talk about private party, an alloy with Peter Vector. Immigration still. Let's go with that one. Let's do this one first. Far from becoming accustomed to my workload as president, I only felt more and more snowed under as the weeks passed. It had become ages since I had time to myself. I started to lose my focus and my temper was growing increasingly thin. Peter was first to realise I needed a break. After much conjunction, he finally persuaded me to come to a meeting of his new venture, the Gentleman's Club. The past few months he's been hosting a salon of sorts, not just for politicians and businessmen, but for artists, entertainers, people of taste, he told me with a smile on his face. There's only one will know why the girlfriend's loud, hence the name. Oh, I don't like the sound of this. As I found myself in front of his luxury villa in Earl, very loud jazz music emanated from his side. I waited and waited. Finally, Peter opened the door and I could smell whiskey on his breath. And so finally, now the real part can start. Come on in. As I entered, Peter closed the door and turned to a small crowd. Gentlemen, a minute of your time, please. I now the privilege to present to you the man himself, the fourth president of Sordland, Mr. Anton Rayne. I knew for a long time, long enough to understand that he was a little more than a little drunk. He made an elaborate mock curtsy as I passed him and walked into the music stopped and I felt everyone's eyes on me. Thank you, Peter. What's next? Good evening. Let's just keep it. Nodded and turned to his attendees. Dear members, please give a warm welcome to a very special guest, if I may. Anton, here, take this. He handed me a glass of whiskey and put his hand on my shoulder. We all know why we're gathered here tonight, to celebrate life, to have a brief escape from our tumultuous professions. I basically don't know any better cure for stress than a little drink. Only a little one. A few people chuckled and some raised their glasses. Now the tradition dictates that as the club president I have to remind you of the house rules that are through no politics, no wives, no one sober. Cheers. This guy's a colossal liability. Peter drank the whiskey in his glass in one go. Drain your glass. Anton Rayne might have the power to make presidential decrees, but I, Peter Vector, the president of this club, now decree this party started. Music, go. The band started up again. After greeting the crowd around me, I felt a hand on my shoulder. Let me show you around. As I walked through the corridors of his mansion, statues and paintings lined the stark-white walls. An arched window provided a view of the neatly manicured grounds, complete with a swimming pool. Our grand Laspian marble staircase led up to the second story. Peter gestured at the massive crystal chandelier hanging overhead. That chandelier was made in the 18th century. Can you believe it? There's even a hedge maze in the garden. How are you paying for all of this? I'll let you see. Gus manager has a load of contracts in the real estate. You've worked a good deal for me. He's also here tonight. I can introduce you if you like. Yep, it's not for me. And to complete, this is why I donate 30% of my vice presidential salary to charities. Really? That's nice of you. That's what it says on tax forms at least. Oh no, I'm not even. Oh, that's a bit. So basically it's not. We continued walking till we circled back to where we had started. So do you think I'm a little hideaway? A hideaway, no, more like a party. Definitely doesn't rival yours. Anyway, let's get back to the party. I arranged some caviar, bought it from Lesbia, but you're going to love it. The door opened to the main hall, we rejoined the other guests. The music was louder now, the mood decidedly more inebriated. Cocktail waiters were carrying plates around wearing dresses. That left little to imagination. I thought this was a gentleman's club. Would you rather get served by a wrinkly old man sweetheart over here? He waved one over one of the waitresses who came over to us. She was in her mid-20s wearing red lipstick, hair blonde, hair tied neatly in a ponytail. Her plate on her plate were toast points slathered in lesbian caviar Peter had mentioned. I took a bite. It was rich, salty, tasty, pure seaside. I could almost hear the sound of waves and seagulls. Lesbian caviar, the best in the world, I'm telling you, Anton. There are few pleasures in life that are this. I deal with that, though. Apologies. As the waitress left to serve another untended, she flashed a quick smile at Peter over his shoulder. He smiled back a little too broadly. Sensual. His eyes were still focusing over the expression I remembered from our many nights out to students. Oh, look, there's Gus. Why don't you go and talk to him? I'll be back shortly. Peter, I warn you, don't make a mistake. What are you talking about? I'm just going to the washroom. We'll be back before you know it. He left the room and headed over to Gus. Gus was standing next to a couple of men that I recognised as banking industry magnates. As I approached, all of them turned to me and bowed their heads. Mr. President, a taste for our new member, everyone. Glass-eyed, clinked-eyed glasses of people around us raised theirs. You don't seem at all surprised to see me here. How long have you been a member? Since the beginning, it's a fun gathering, quite lucrative at times. You might have heard that Peter and I arranged the deal for this mansion. He also told me that you might be interested in potential opportunities such as this. He opened his arms, gesturing at opulent surroundings. Let us take a walk. The balcony has an amazing view of Ellery. We left the room and made our way to the balcony. On the way, he took out 2 cigars and held out one for me. Refused a cigar. Went out to the balcony. All of Ellery was at our feet. From this vantage point, I was able to see how expensive the building plot was, as one pool and hedge maze were visible from here. Leaning over that, I reminded you a moment before Gus spoke up. I know you're wondering about the deal Peter made. In a nutshell, thanks to my network, he was able to procure this house for half the asking price, which would have been impossible under any other circumstances. I would be delighted to discuss similar arrangement with you. In fact, I've prepared a document of my personal favourite opportunities. This is at least I can do since you've been generous to many business people in the country. I'm glad my investment decisions are paying off. Cheers, the investment's paying off then. Drawn the risky. Let's talk about the details then. Pulled out a briefcase and put that thin dust and showed it to me. My first choice is, of course, real estate. There's a vineyard close to Ellery, about 1 hour drive from it. It includes a very large villa, a beautiful plot, but rather neglected, so there will be a fair amount of renovation costs. On the bright side, you'll be able to produce your own wine. The previous owner was Geralt of Ribware World. Known as Geralt of Ribware, was a pioneer Swedish winemaker who was first cultivated famous boring grape. What happened to him then? Okay. The previous owner was world-renowned Vinter. There's also option of a football partnership I already own a large portion of Enrico FC. I'm doing my best to make them champions. Buying in will be more expensive than the vineyard, but this season will bring lots of returns. I'm quite positive. My biggest opportunity, though, is a possibility to buy shares in Underhaul Construction. My connections ensure that this would not be open to the public or benefit you greatly. As you know, they are the biggest construction company in Sordland. Give me the word, I'll start procurement process, but we must act quickly. These options might seem to disappear off the market. The vineyard in Ellery, I've always wanted to own my own wine, and it sounds do we want to do it? Cool, let's just do it. If we wanted to own my own wine, it sounds quite peaceful. Excellent, I'll start the process right away. Let's just give him, Mr. President. He left to rejoin the pot alone on the balcony. I looked over out over Ilori. Suddenly I heard a rush of rustling in the hedge maze below. I looked down and saw a silhouette, two silhouettes actually so close together they seemed to be entangled. I squinted and tried to get a better look. It was definitely two people kissing, but I couldn't see either of their faces. I returned to the party and spent some time mingling with other guests, engaging them in small talk and about their business, their children, and their relationship. Basically, that's Peter and that waitress has got to be. Around an hour later, Peter showed up next to me. See, I told you I'd be back before you knew it. Was that you in the hedge maze? What are you talking about? I told you I went to the washroom. I'll be direct. Let's be straight with him. What? How could you think I'm a married man? You know what? You know that you can tell me anything. Hey, you can have it if you want to anyway. Want a drink because I do. They poured 2 large glasses of whiskey, drank them in one go. Throughout the party we drank and drank just like the old times. I woke up the next day in a pounding headache and a few more than a few regrets. My memory of the evening were hazy, but there's one important detail that kept coming back to me, the red lipstick on Peter's collar. But maybe my memory was playing tricks on me. I don't think it was. The man is a colossal liability. According to the information we received, President Rayne has finally decided he will sign the Religious Harmony Act bill. For a long time, the language of religious sermons has been a hot topic. We are all living in Sordland where it is in our constitution that Sordland's official language is soldiers. So religious sermons hold a special place for every soldier's hearts and minds. Yeah, so they think it's good. Oh well, okay, I'm not going to argue with that. It makes me personally feel a bit uncomfortable, because my views, it makes me a tad uncomfortable, but massive protest against the soldiers' language bill has raging citizens since yesterday morning. Local police are trying to best disperse the crowd. So far, it's been non-violent, which is fine. Let's see what this is. Briefing. I forgot about this. Right. We're in the middle of a meeting in the palace about our immigration policy. Oh, Mr. Potato Head. The ensuing discussion became heated. I don't think so, Mr. Rissy. It doesn't make any sense to me that a foreign citizen become a soldier should come before a soldier citizen in Sordland. Yeah. Well said. My loss is also in line with this, especially during the economic recession. We are giving soldiers to migrants rather than from other countries. What about our own people? Immigrants are the reason why our economy is not completely unsalvageable. Look at Agnolian immigrants in England. They've revitalised the whole region and in turn boosted the economy of the entire country. Similar can attest to that. Statistically speaking, I want immigrants to become part of the workforce contributes to our economy, but I agree the current situation is very nuanced. That said, we can't just tighten our immigration policy and expect the economy to stay the same. We need to put the economy and our recession at the forefront, especially after our entire fucking stock market went to the tubes. Yeah, went down the tubes, excuse my language. I've never seen similar in this battle. Everyone in the room turned to him in surprise. I'm sorry for losing my call, Mr. President, but we're working day and night. I'm currently looking into ways we can find out we can recover from this tragedy as quickly as we can. How's it looking? Is there a way out? I don't want to say anything too early, Mr. President, gentlemen. Can we please get back on topic? Right, sorry, Mr. Rissy. As I was just saying before I was interrupted, look at the superpowers. Do you see them closing off their borders? Why do you think their economy is in such good shape they are in the current state? Because they welcome immigration and use it to their advantage. We need to modernise and reach the level of the superpower. We need to modernise and reach the level of the superpowers, and from the same mind, it is proven that immigration helps countries to develop. We cannot just deport our current immigrants. We need a decision before we move on. Mr. President, do you have any questions about the current state of immigration? What is the current legal status of immigrants? Currently, all accepted immigrants are given a work permit on arrival so they can work and contribute to the economy of Sordland. There's currently no limit on the number of migrants accepted, however, the numbers have remained stable over the past years. Despite the laws, the fact that many migrants illegally work for corporations, that is the main issue with immigration right now, not the immigration itself. Nonsense, if it's not for the unlimited amount of immigration, we wouldn't be in this state. How many migrants do we have? Official numbers show that we have anywhere between 2 to 3 million migrants residing in Sordland. Even excluding the countless undocumented aliens in our midst, this is a very substantial amount. The primary issue is the strife they cause between less fortunate sorted citizens themselves. Including them in the workforce would benefit everybody, including unemployed swords. More taxes mean more services. How do migrant immigrants usually arrive? There are three major paths they choose. The first one is Agland to Agnolia border, the second is Berger to Welland border, and the third is to the Lorraine coast. Agnolians are the largest group. It's a light border over there, although recently political fugitives from Vagsland have been crossing the Grey Sea by boat to land on our coast. Politically persecuted Wessex refugees tend to use the dangerous mountain passes at the Welland border. Many of them also have bloodish blood. Let's move on and see what we can be done about immigration. Very well. He opened his dossier stamped with a stamped seal of the Minister of Foreign Affairs and Trade. Excuse me. Finish off a cup of tea. But it gets cold. Nothing worse than a cold cup of tea. During the elections, we promised to keep our immigration laws relaxed. I think it's the right course of action. I disagree. We are supposed to control and reduce negative effects of immigration like crime and subversion. I see your point, I said, but the economy simply benefits from more immigration. Internal order on the other hand suffers immensely. Prove it, though. You can't prove it. We should attack laws and prevent further chaos. David side really, this is going nowhere. What's the consequences of keeping it policy relaxed? Aside from keeping us on the path of prosperity, modernity and continuous improvement, not much. Our current system is good for our era. We also have the capacity to allow us to continue protecting investments for foreign countries, which in turn keep our trade steady. With more trustworthy partners, stability draws money. Stability, what stability? We're all seeing the clash between our people and foreign interlopers. On the contrary, the only way we can achieve stability is through tighter immigration policy. You heard the lady Sordland first. We have to impose quotas and connect to that stricter border control. On top of that, allowing the economy to take a hit. But so surely the well-being of our citizens and internal security more compensates for any downturn in the markets. I agree, sort of decisions should take priority. I'm going to make a decision. Yes. Here goes my response. Keep it relaxed. I'm glad you make the right choice. You will be forced to handle new waves of migrants from only as our border posts aren't ready. Not only that, we've just abandoned the native sources who need our support the most. Also, this brings a new town of refugees from Welland. It has already made it a difficult region to manage. This is shameful. This is not. We want not leaving Sordland. It's a logistical decision. You are wrong about this. There is no reason why this country has survived a century of evolutions. Hard-working swords will see this positive as you do, Mr. President. Anything else, Mr. President? Yeah, get used to it. I'm looking forward to upcoming trade talks. Peter and I have been visiting South Stourport and Wessex in preparation. I've come along to talk with the economist, looking forward to the potential partnership. If we are finished, I need to head off to get Minister to work on the new policy. Same, our board units will need to be informed and prepared. Keep up the good work. The Minister's dispersed. Yeah. Country update. No, we know about that. So diplomacy, relaxed immigration. Okay, streamline immigration. Nationwide protests quelled. Good. Okay, alright, let's look what the news says. Freedom and education choice. And better education, we finally reached a point where our children are allowed to change well, that's about privatisation of schooling. Makes us a little bit to read. We don't know for time. Oh, that's the decision. I don't want to make that decision yet. Dodge that one. I'll go up here first. Missing full swings. transfer into profit or profit or for profit or turn into for profit organisations. Put bidding process to pay with buyers. This is expected. We'll gather a substantial amount of private funds for the initiative. We'll get some money. We need it. Hang on, let's not do that quite yet. Let's dip over here. Just do all the decisions. This reports the reconstruction ministry has been completed success and decreases of its budget. Could report a large portion of the budget was transferred specifically to solve backlog cases at law courts, which has already helped with the situation. Additionally, additional efforts were directed to fight corruption, upholding the integrity of judges and conservation of the rule of law. Minister Morgnat said she intends to bring trust back to justice systems. Yeah, we're all about that. Ooh, I keep pressing all the buttons. Where are you? Right, here we go. Let's annoy the First Lady. A motorcade made its way to benefit system. I flipped through the brochure that I'd given us at the hotel. On the front page was the face of Curtin Les, Mayor of Enrique, who was a Benfica native, had a long-standing relationship with the city mayor and personally invited to make tonight's speech. The Benfica Festival was the biggest event of the year. It originally marked the start of the annual religious programme, a week-long journey still undertaken by devout neurists. There were film screenings, concerts, theatre and dance performances, art exhibitions, social study night gardens. The opening ceremonies were broadcast on TV and watched by millions. A car showed us the car slowed a Cotera. A bunch of reporters and security guards rushed to meet us. I turned my attention to Monica. Since Gloria had convinced me to cancel her opening speech, things was pretty strange. She barely said to me all day. I'm not surprised. Yep, would you have to forgive me? I told you my reasons. I know, I understand. It's just taking some time. I'm just going to take some time. It's going to take me some more time. Phew. She's clearly not to pursue this topic any further. As Serge opened the door, we were enveloped by a roar of the crowd. Next few minutes was a blur of handshakes, photos and reporters' questions. Unlooking cheered as we walked to the red carpet in the Built Arts Centre. We followed the guards through the cavernous white halls until we came to a set of arched doors into the auditorium. We waited outside security, did a quick sweep of the area, then headed in. I had been asked to make a quick set of remarks, including introducing Curtin last guy, beckoned Monica to join me on the podium. I'm going to find my seat. Monica pushed past me and took her seat in the front row, crossed her arms. I walked alone to the platform. She's not happy. I spoke for a few minutes reading a paragraph from my speechwriter had churned out about the importance of the Festival of Benfica to Sordland. I concluded by inviting Curtin Les, the Mayor of Enrique, to the podium. I stepped down and joined Monica in front row. Her arms were still folded. Welcome to the first day of the Benfica Festival. He paused for a moment, let the crowd cheer, and his eyes briefly met mine. Nod. This is a night for the people of Benfica, indeed, for the people of Sordland to put aside the differences and come together in celebration. Yet as we unite for festivals, we must remember the real reason we are gathered here. The crowd fell silent. The people were giving their full attention to what he had to say. This festival was founded around the principles of our cherished religion and unity. Over the years, it has been severed from its sacred roots and become something more perverse. As an excuse for public drunkenness and grotesque displays of the flesh, an occasion for young women to parade their bodies and engage in lascivious behaviour. As he went on, I could see Monica increasingly agitated. Not surprised. What in the hell is he talking about lascivious behaviour? What century does he think we live in? I don't know, just let it be. He turned back to watch his piece of frown on her face. Perversion hidden under the guise of art is not benefiting the beautiful city of. The crowd was becoming restless. Many of the younger attendees were murmuring in disagreement, while a few of the old ones were nodding vigorously. As I said, perversion hidden under the guise of the art is not to be. Enough! All fossil Monica rose and continued. Miss Letty, it is not young women who are a disgrace to this fine festival, but you and your backwards puritanical attitudes, which have been holding this country back for far too long. Monica, please sit down. No, not sit down this time. Monica turned to face the audience, speaking loud enough to be heard without a microphone. Woman of Sordland, we must not let people like Miss Leslie's religion as a justification to demean and oppress us. Our time has come. Oh, Christ. Oh, no. Shocked gas ran through the crowd. A few people rose to applaud Curtin last wanted to speak. I think Mrs. Rayne's forgetting her place. What do you think my place is, Miss Liz? The kitchen? This festival is not about your retrograde traditions. We are living in the modern times now. It's 1954, and it is your place to decide how. And it isn't your place to decide how the people of Benfica, especially women, should be celebrating their own festival. Monica, that's enough. What do you mean enough? I barely even started. I looked at the page. We see curtains left, piercing eyes on me. There will be surely a price to pay for this. Mr. President, could you please control your wife before she embarrasses us off any further? Monica, we've been over this. Is not the time. Please sit down. The crowd was in uproar. I had to lean over to catch Monica's next words. I am so sorry. Until next time, I'll stay in the kitchen. Oh dear. She sat back down, seething. Curtin's voice filled the hall. Benfica has been, speaking of culture, tradition and religion, many battles have been fought over this precious city. Army after army has tried to claim it for their own, but we fought back and won each time. We stand here thanks to strong men who are able to protect their families, their lands and their way of living. Every day I praise God we have succeeded so far. Scattered applause broke out for some older members of the audience. I lean over to Monica. I praise God he's allowed to speak for another 2 minutes. And said nothing against fixed forward. Yet as traditions that form the very fabric of society are being tested even as I speak. He looked pointed at Monica. We must stay true to our values that Sordland can prevail, so that Benfica can prevail. With these at the forefront, I'm convinced Sordland will continue to be the greatest nation in the world. He's bonkers. We invite every single year to celebrate the roots of our traditions as a holy Benfica festival. I hereby declare the festival open. Praise God, praise Sordland, praise Benfica. And Morgan West Cora. Most of the people who finished the deck, as I say, including me. Monica's lit me, but she didn't say the words out loud. He exited the stage as a band struck up the official festival anthem. Especially viewing, alternatively watching the festivals and conversing with local politicians. By the time I got back to the hotel, I was exhausted. Thanks to the festival still raging outside, the sound of Monica tossing decide and the sound is, but thanks to the festivities still raging outside and the sound of Monica tossing and turning beside me, I couldn't sleep at all. Well, that went well, didn't it? Oh, blimey. Oh, dear me. We're gonna have the repercussions of that for a while. Well, I'm deploying special forces to Vernon. Now, the city of Vernon has been put under curfew with several other towns in the northeast country. The Resicom has deployed specially trained military forces to combat the BFF, increase effort to fight terrorism. The operation will have consequences for the region, particularly with the neighbouring countries of Lesbia and Rumberg, particularly Sordland. Oh, great. So that's a fight we're going to get dragged into. Yeah, let's have a quick look at no international news for us to look at. Let's start at the top then. Protests occasionally continues in the reach of Nargis. Several militants have been hiding while the protesters have been watched closely. Okay. Israel refugees of Vernon. Reports from aboard in the Wessex city of Vernon show that there are thousands of people running away from Wessex military forces towards the Swedish border. We don't need that, do we? The Workers' Party Bloodier spokesman Urgel has condemned the decision to sign the Religious Harmony Bill and laws a large role in the city of Titus protesting the signed bill. The protesters pulled thousands of people from many different political movements. Local police report the waters very closely. So far, there's been no attempts to incite violence. Okay. Where are we now? Yeah, what's here now? Downtime at home. I'm not looking forward to this conversation. It felt like an eternity since the Benfica Festival. Had it really been less than 24 hours? I was at home and had drinking afternoon coffee at my bar and a stack of newspapers lay at my side. I picked up one by one, reading or rereading the articles about the festival. Some of the newspapers were merciless against Monica for interrupting Curtin during his speech. So a few even called for them to be barred from political matters. Others expressed their support. In any event, I believed that the incident had reflected badly on me. I was putting the last newspaper down when Monica joined me on the balcony. So you've seen the news then? Yeah, Monica, I know. We could talk about this. Let's talk about I am a disgrace with no support from my husband. It says it right there. My hands were tied. Anton, how could you? First you deny me the opportunity to speak at a festival, then you let me that dance or let's make a mockery of me on my cause. She grabbed the top newspaper from the stack and started reading it aloud. With a shameful outburst at Enrica Merker, with a shameful outburst at Enrica Merker and Lake Curtin West. First Lady Rayne, Monica Rayne has once again proved that politics is now best left to gentlemen, with President proving not had no support to a challenge to less was quickly defeated. The President provided no support. You can't even stand less, and you took his side while making me look like a fool. She started ripping the newspaper to shreds. After all these years by your side, playing the doting wife. You know, my mother was right about you. Oh, great. I'm saying, forgive me, just tell me why. Why couldn't you say anything? I don't want to lose current support. Sometimes you have to make sacrifices for the country. You've got to learn if that's you want to go into politics. Sometimes you have to make sacrifices for the good of the country. You've got to learn that if you want to go into politics. But why does sacrifice to me? Never mind. You had your reasons. There was a brief silence. There's another chance, you know, for you to show your real support. Perhaps the festival wasn't the proper forum to air my views on women's rights, but I still need to do this, Anton. I want to officially adopt this cause as First Lady, to actually get involved in politics, not just give impromptu speeches. I could even help your Education Minister with his reforms she's working on. Now this is something you're passionate about as well. Can I count on you? Yep, well, yeah, it's such to me. Yep, that could bite me on the rear end. If I can have Versity down there, Dean is standing there, Mum, I'm hungry, let's go to the kitchen where we are. We'll make Papa the best evening snack ever. Yeah. They left the balcony and returned half later with a large cookie. Dina had written my name and icing on Diana had written my name and icing on it. As I sipped coffee, I nibbled the cookie. I thought I'd made the right choice. Things were going to get harder, but at least my life at Ozen was somewhat peaceful. Yeah, really. Right, let's have a look. Very disgraced. No support from my husband. Yeah, we've just had that little conversation. Okay. Curl. Let's have a good drink of juice. Carl agrees that arrived for a meeting to discuss a new police force. Asked Olivia, informed us of his arrival. Lucian opened the door to let him in. Hello, Mr. President, Mr. Garner. What a sunny day, isn't it? Well, that sounds beautiful indeed. The clear sky, sunshine made the scenery look lively. I could even hear the sounds of birds chirping in the palace garden. It's been okay. We've tackled many security issues, but there's still some to go through. But more importantly, the security situation in the country is much more stable, allowing people to return to a normal life. Please have a seat. We don't really feel uncomfortable. As we sat down and walked a few steps towards the wall where President Alfonso's portrait was hanging, I've never been used to I've never been used to being uncomfortable in my life. I came from a poor family, Mr. President. Some people like us know the additional steps we need to be climbed to get anywhere in life. I used to walk 50 hours a day to bring food back to my sisters. My entire life has been a struggle to last time as a volunteer in the Arvery Police Force. They gave me a scholarship to Return Police Academy, an opportunity I wouldn't have been able to have if I didn't work diligently. This allowed me to enter Arvery Police Force as a patrolman and meet Mrs. Graff, who opened several doors and led me to better places. I now do not trust him, because I don't trust her. So you are very close to Mrs. Graff. She's played a major role in my office, still my superior, but to be honest, my motivation is I will serve the country, and right now that means serving you, sir. Took a seat and corrected his posture. We have been informed of the establishment of the anti-corruption police force under the Justice Minister. Indeed so, Mr. Morgan has given me the full authority to lead the new police force in order to fight corruption from within. So we have a tough and long fight ahead of us. It will take years, but we will win. You can believe that. I want to make it absolutely clear my belief in you as leader is unquestionable. Mr. Morgner, though, not as inspiring as you are, but also has shown great capability. The more I work for her, the more I'm convinced that she's a very motivated and efficient administrator. She takes her work personally, motivations for corruption are real. Thanks for the to the resource division and thanks to the resource diversion of ministry, those objectives can be met. Justice will be served, indeed be served. Carl leaned closer and lowered his voice ever so slightly. There are elements within our state that have ulterior motives. Elaborate, please. May I speak frankly, sir? Of course. There are several powerful deep state forces inside the administration. Our investigations have just begun, but certain links we have discovered are troubling. Mr. Hawker has financial and other... Who's he? Oh, him, just... Yeah. Has financial and other ties to certain figures. He is a dangerous man. Currently, we are collecting evidence to find out exactly what his network comprises. We also suspected the existence of We've always suspected the existence of such a deep state. The real question is, who in government and who in cabinet is on Mr. Hawker's side? Don't poke the bear when you're not ready to fight. Maintain local operations. I guess Morgan is on our side on this. She really wants to tackle corporation. We need to find out who has ulterior motives and root them out of administration. Keep pursuing. If we encounter obstacles, you have a forethought. Don't poke the bear when we're not ready to fight. Maintain local operations. I couldn't agree more. Anyone who corrupts our system and creates parallel organisation is a threat to Sordland. The most important subject here is the old guard establishing that they pose a direct threat to us. Once enough evidence is gathered, we should be able to begin corruption trials if we want to. Hawker, Helen, and the rest of the old guard in the Supreme Court won't be able to be prosecuted at all. This means we can't cut the head off the snake, but we'll be able to strangle everyone around them. Besides them, there are other elements we are aware of. The oligarchs seem to have some people in the inside as well. We received some unconfirmed reports about Mr. Tusk has bought people in the administration. Hello. They seem to be evading taxes through bribery and exploitation in the grays of law. Investigations in Estor and Narwhal have also found some suspicious finance activity. Some of their corporations. If the tax returns were to be made public, it would help us track irregularities of the filings. Tusk is an issue that shouldn't be made primary target. They're bigger fish to fry. Tusk isn't. Very well, sir. There is a strong presence in the media. Many entities have some parts we observe as unusual. It really seems they have powerful influence in the majority of so-called independent news organisations that might not be so independent after all. Who cares about him anyway? It's not good enough to make such a critical public opinion tools. They do have reach, but the President has much more influence and authority. Carl sighed. Last but not least, the opposition Friends Rector, we have received intelligence he has connections in Arcasia. Upon further inquiries, we can't see anything illegal here besides a mismatch of information. The old guard must have pushed this forward. We shouldn't have even considered moving on before misleading in our position. Nothing illegal. Secretary is a lawsuit with Sordland guys trying to pressure him. The way we received the intelligence was unusual to say the least. It came through back channels. There are so many potential corruption cases here. Therefore, we need to pick a faction to focus on. We can't investigate everyone within the remainder of this term and come up with a thorough and compelling case. The logical step forward would be to use ACP to pressure either the oligarchs or the old guard. Oh, I've just achieved unlocked. Drain the swamp. We should concentrate all our anti-corporation. We concentrate our anti-corporation. Yep. Let's go after Hawker and the old guards. Yes, so we'll focus our research and investigate on the old guard. It has been decided that should conclude the meeting. Thank you and good luck. Good day, sir. Left the courtroom. Happy days. Right. For you. Let's have a cook. No, let's not do that. Let's have a look at the old news articles. Okay. We don't want to investigate in the oligarchs because they might cover all some of the things I've done. Not I've done a lot. Delivered preliminary economic status report. Don't serious action. We don't do anything. We've had it basically. Anti-corruption bill. Anti-corruption police formed. We're ready. Okay, fine about that. What's this about? Alright, we'll leave that because that'll be a long conversation. We'll leave that till next. So what we're going to do is, I think I'm going to put a cut in here. So let's just not that's the wrong button. Do that and come over here. And go, thanks very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed that. Let me know what you think. Like and subscribe to the channel because it helps me out loads. Anyway, for you, we've tanked the economy. We've had a massive crash. We've got no money, and we're massively in debt. Well, that could possibly go on. However, I'm quite confident we can get the constitutional reform through with any luck. But anyway, let me know what you think, and I'll see you in the next one. Thanks very much. Bye.